Welcome back to another enlightening episode of The Truth About the Plant, the show that takes you on a journey through the world of psychoactive plants and alternative wellness, all while delivering the real actionable insights you crave. I'm your host, Christina Dees, and this is my equally talented co-host, Dr. Amanda Ryman. We both show up every week to bring you the truth about the plant in 20 minutes or less. Dr. Ryman, why are we so passionate about this? Why do we do what we do?
Well, we do what we do because we know that there is a true lack of trusted information about cannabis on the internet. Not only is it censored on most social platforms, even educating people about cannabis is censored on most social platforms. But if you Google a question, and it could be a question that you have it's a lot of importance to you in your life. It could be one that impacts your health, your well-being, the health and well-being of people you love. You're going to get back 100 different answers. And many of those answers completely contradict each other. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of people out there who think that they are cannabis experts, but we are here to tell you the truth. We are here to deliver science-backed, evidence-informed information on your most pressing cannabis questions in around 20 minutes or less, so you can get the information you need and go about your day. You can think of us as your really cool aunties or your kick-ass granddaughters who are here to tell you the truth. And I also want to mention that the truth is not just on YouTube anymore. The Truth About the Plant is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio and Spotify and Amazon Music. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple other ones. So feel free to tune into us in the car or on a walk when you need that little dose of cannabis truth.
Well, today we're diving into a question that's got a lot of people curious. Can cannabis really enhance your sex life? So from relaxation to sensation, we're going to break down the facts to see if this plant can turn up the heat in the bedroom. All right, let's get into it. Dr. Ryman, we've talked a lot about the therapeutic value of cannabis on this show, and recently we discussed cannabis for women's health issues like menopause. But cannabis is not just about relieving painful symptoms, it's also about enhancing the good things in life. So in recent years, from cannabis-infused lubricants to products touting an impact on the libido, we've seen a little more attention paid to the benefits of cannabis for sexual enhancement and experiences. So I have to ask, is there any truth to this, or is it just another marketing ploy? Can cannabis really enhance the sexual experience?
Well, the short answer is yes. And we're learning more every day about how and why. So today I want to focus on two aspects of cannabis and sex, the biological and the psychological. And I also want to spend some time specifically talking about women's sexual enhancement because so little attention is paid to that in this world.
Amen to that. And who better to bring this information to the audience but the kick-ass granddaughters and the cool aunties? So I know that sexual pleasure is definitely connected to the body and the brain. So let's start with biology.
So there are a few physical mechanisms that relate to sexual pleasure, especially for women. One is the ability to generate lubrication in the vaginal area, which is important for sexual enjoyment. And there are a lot of lubricants out there that supply this moisture. But one unique aspect of a lubricant with cannabis is that not only does it provide moisture, it encourages blood flow to the area of application, which can enhance not only lubrication production, but sensitivity in that area as well. We discussed this a few weeks ago when we were talking about menopause and how using cannabis doesn't just mask menopausal symptoms, it actually helps get to the root of menopausal symptoms. And so similarly, when we're talking about lubrication, cannabis infused lubricant doesn't just provide moisture, it actually helps bring blood flow to the area. It can address pelvic pain and other discomfort that may be experienced by women during intercourse. So similarly to how suppositories may help with some symptoms related to PMS, menopause, endometriosis, using a lubricant that is infused with cannabis can actually help not only lubricate the area, but stimulate blood flow as well. So the same biological mechanism as with menopause applies here. Increased blood flow at an entry point for cannabinoids and giving them a space to enter the body can also help address pain or discomfort.
Okay, so cannabis-infused lubricants can make the active intercourse more comfortable for women. How does it impact enjoyment? Because let's face it, as little attention as there is on helping women achieve sexual health, there's even less attention paid to ensuring that women get enjoyment and satisfaction from self.
Oh, how right you are. And when we look at the research, it's really appalling that we're not paying more attention. We had Dr. Hunter Land on for the last 2 weeks. Last week, he was talking about cannabis becoming an FDA approved medication. And he said that the most understudied and undervalued area he felt for cannabis was women's health. So, it is really a shame that we don't pay more attention to women's health overall, but especially ideas of women being able to achieve orgasm. So, female orgasmic disorder, or it's also known as FOD, is said to affect up to 41% of all women worldwide. And there has been research done, there's been case studies done that support the use of cannabis as a successful treatment for FOD. So in 2024, cannabis advocates and other healthcare providers petitioned 11 states to add FOD to their list of medical cannabis qualifying conditions. Only two have done so far, Connecticut and Illinois. So shout out to my home state of Illinois for adding FOD to their list of conditions. And several other states have scheduled hearings to determine whether they're going to add it to their list of medical conditions. I know that it's moving through the legislature in New Mexico. But some states are just saying no. And the reason they're saying no is because they're saying we don't have enough research. There isn't clinical study, clinical controlled trials of this. But these same states have other conditions already on their medical lists that have just as much or less research available than female orgasmic disorder.
Yeah, it sounds like a double standard when we're talking about sexual dysfunction issues that impact women. There are numerous approved medications for erectile dysfunction or ED in men. Why does FOD not get the same kind of attention?
So that's a really good question. And I have been thinking about this personally. And I think that there are a few reasons for this. One is just mechanics, right? In order to fertilize an egg, the man has to ejaculate, but the woman does not have to have an orgasm, even though we do have research that suggests that having an orgasm can help increase the likelihood of fertilization. So traditionally, sex was thought of as a tool for procreation. So whether or not the woman had an orgasm was really not important or considered. What was really important was whether or not the man could ejaculate. Sex was also thought of as a woman's duty in a marriage. So her enjoyment was not as important as the completion of the act itself. And I think a lot of that stigma around women's sexual enjoyment has carried on into society today. I mean, even the idea that, women are supposed to remain pure even though they're supposed to also have sex just in order to have babies. So the idea of a woman enjoying sex was still kind of thought as shameful. And I think that because of that, women were shamed into thinking that if they couldn't orgasm, it was their fault somehow, or because they just weren't supposed to, and they should just be quiet about it and not say anything. And this, along with the pressure to please her partner, leads many women to fake orgasms, right? And that gives an inflated view of how common female orgasms really are. Women may feel that they need to fake an orgasm in order to make their partner feel better, to feel like they are doing the right thing. Some women may fake an orgasm just to be done with the sexual act because they're probably not going to have one. So they know that if they fake it, then they can stop. So there's a lot of reasons why women may fake orgasms. Because of that, there may be this inflated idea of how many women actually have orgasms.
Well, this leads us to the psychological benefits of cannabis for sex. So, what are those?
So this is actually more cut and dry than the biology, which we're still doing a lot of research to figure out exactly what the mechanisms of action are there. I mean, cannabis relaxes us. It reduces anxiety. It can help us feel more emotionally available and closer to our partners. And all of these things can encourage the enjoyment of an activity like sex. And of course, the more relaxed you are, the more you're feeling enjoyment and closeness to the person you're with, the higher the chance of having an orgasm. But this is also where it's really important to know your dose, right? So too much cannabis, you can become too sleepy and then you don't want to engage in sex, or you can become anxious, which is actually going to make things worse. Neither of those things are going to lend themselves to a very good sexual experience. And while sharing cannabis with a partner can be a good form of intimacy, you have to know what dose brings out the frisky side of you. And if you feel comfortable with your partner, then this should be an enhanced experience. However, if being around your partner or having sex with them makes you feel uncomfortable or anxious, you should examine why that is rather than just try to use cannabis to try and suppress those feelings. So, if you already feel good and comfortable with your partner and you have a good relationship, cannabis can definitely enhance that sexual connection. But if you find yourself feeling uncomfortable around your partner in the first place, or like you don't want to have sex with your partner in the first place, rather than using cannabis just to kind of power through, you should really examine, is this the right relationship, or are there reasons why I have this feeling in the first place?
Yeah, so a lot of women are using cannabis as a lubricant, right, to also enhance lubrication down there in the vaginal area. And also, what did you say? Like bring feeling?
Blood
Blood.
flow. So, right. So you're increasing blood flow to the area, which can increase sensitivity. When a woman gets turned on, that part of her body becomes engorged with blood, just like when a man gets an erection. And so, women who have a hard time achieving orgasm or feeling sensitivity down in that region, introducing blood flow to the area can help with those nerve endings that are down in the clitoral area and the vaginal area. And so cannabis can help increase blood flow to that area. It can also help relax those muscles. So women who experience pelvic pain or other discomfort during intercourse, it could be a muscular issue. And so bringing cannabis into that area through a lubricant can help relax the muscles, which can then reduce the chance of having painful intercourse.
Yeah, I was just thinking about our episode about menopause, and we talked about suppositories. And I'm thinking, even using a suppository for sexual enhancement, just to relax the muscles on the inside, like you were saying, could be another.
Yeah, I think a suppository would be a great option. Just remember to take it out or wait till it dissolves completely before you have sex, because you don't want to have something inserted into your vagina while you're having sex. But suppositories tend to melt fairly quickly, especially ones that are made with like cocoa butter or shea butter. So, yes, I think using a suppository, letting it melt completely, and then using a cannabis infused vaginal lubricant is a really great way to treat the biological enhancement issue. And then again, consuming cannabis through smoking or an edible is a good way to enhance the psychological enjoyment of sexual activity.
All right. Well, that's a wrap on today's deep dive in cannabis and sex. And as you can tell, this is a topic we're going to talk about again, not specifically this one, but women's health. Amanda and I are really passionate about it as well. And we also agree that it's understudied and under researched. So we're hoping to bring you some more nuggets of information for that. But thank you all for tuning in this week. And like Amanda said, we're now available on any platform that you might listen to your podcast. So in addition to YouTube, you can find us on any podcast platform. If this conversation sparked your curiosity, and we hope it did, send us a like, drop us a line, send us a message. We always love hearing from our listeners. info@mypersonalplants.com. And you never know, your question just might be featured on our next episode. So don't forget to explore the YouTube garden or all of the podcasts that are out there. Hit subscribe, like, and you know what? If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean the world to us if you shared this episode, because the more knowledge is power, and the more people that have the knowledge, the better. So thank you all again. Until next time, stay curious, stay green, and keep the questions blooming.